Hi, welcome to the OTRS webinar. My name is John Coggins. I'm the Global Business Relationship Manager, and today I'm joined by my colleague from the consulting group, Luca Smallsing. Luca's going to go over more detail about the personal dashboards of OTRS 8, the statistics and reports, and he will go into a little more detail about the calendar overview. If you have any questions after the webinar, please feel free to reach out to us at sales@otrs.com. Enjoy.
Thanks, John. All right, welcome to the webinar. And as John already told, I'd like to talk about the dashboard section. You can see it when you enter the burger menu, so on the upper left corner. And I'd like to start with the personal dashboard, which is basically your home base, because every time when you log in, or in general, when you go back to your home directory, it will be the dashboard. So what is the dashboard? The dashboard is like a summary of different areas of OTRS. So it means it will summarize different business object lists, which can be tickets, which can be appointments, which can be knowledge base articles, which can just be different things to give you a good overview about your system and the data in it. So you can always have a very quick look on different areas and different business objects and get a good overview. So again, the dashboard exists or consists of different widgets. So as you can see here, I can collapse and expand them. And every tile you can see here is called a widget. We learned that already. And they are structured in a way of, or you can structure it the way you like. So in my case, I've activated the 2-column layout. I showed you that already. And there is as well the 1-column layout. So we have the widgets all on 1 column. And we got a 3-column layout. So we can just design the layout as we like. When you click on the upper right corner, there's this open screen configuration to configure your dashboard. So not only the widgets, we will come to that in a few moments, but also the dashboard can be configured. So as soon as I enter the screen configuration, one thing I can do is reset it to default. So this is what I would like to do now. I would like to reset my dashboard to default. And as you can see, this is only for each dashboard, which means for each layout. So if you would like to reset the other ones, you need to reset them as well. And same in the 3-column layout. So now we have resetted the layout to default. And let's start with the 2-column layout and have a closer look on the different widgets. So on the upper left corner, we have a CMDB All Items widget, which means we get a good overview about our different CMDB items and the items that are available. We will learn about the CMDB and everything you can do there in the next session. The queue metric gives us a good overview about the different queues in our system and how many tickets currently are open or in pending reminder state or in new state. So you get a very good overview about your queues. The escalations widget shows us which tickets are currently escalating. So where we need to interact or where we need to just take care of. Reminders are tickets which are in state pending reminder. And as you can see, the pending time is quite some time ago. We have the open tickets widget. We have the appointments widget. So I will you can hide or show the sidebar as well. And I will go more into detail of the calendar in this session. So it will be at the let's say last quarter, I will talk about the calendar module. So in in a few moments. And we have the people section. I already showed that, but so when we were talking about the out of office manager in your personalization area, I told you about the out of office possibility. So here you will basically always see who's currently out of office. So since there is no one out of office right now in my system, there is no data available, which means, of course, it's only displayed if there is something in your database. Same goes for online agents, so you can get an overview who's currently logged into the OTRS system, and for your customers, so to the external interface of OTRS. As I told you too, there is the recently updated knowledge base articles. So here you can get an overview about different knowledge base articles that have been updated in the past. And we have a news section where we can give the agents different news. So you can, for example, make a security advisory and link it to your dashboard. But there are quite some more options. So maybe to get a better overview, I will switch to the one column layout now. And I'd like to show you different functions. Last time I already talked about the pulse mode, but just as a reminder or as a revision, I would like to remind you that the pulse mode is to switch into a live mode. So the interface will turn into like a heartbeat, like a pulse. That's why it's called pulse mode. And every element and object that is in or on your interface will be in live mode, which means as soon as data is changing in the states or in the a ticket list, so business object list, or basically every setting or every object that is changing in your database will be displayed right away. So in a live view, you will see every change live without need to refresh the website or to basically do anything. So before, so in earlier versions, we needed to make a browser refresh to load the new object with pulse mode. So as soon as you turn it on, that is not necessary anymore. In each widget, we can do different configurations, which means we can, for example, configure the content of the widget. We can say, okay, what should be the name of the widget? And currently it is CMDB all items. We can change the title here, as well as the displayed columns. So you can decide which columns should be shown and which should be hide. And of course, the sort order. So you can switch them, for example, the name up or in front of the number. You can change the deployment state. You can delete or hide the changed date. So you can configure it as you like. Same is with the sortation list. So you can decide for which criteria the list or the widget should be sorted by. You can add new sorting. So you can say sort first by number descending, then by created ascending, then add new sortings. So you can always add different sortations here. Same goes with filter criteria. You can add different filter criteria for your widget. I will come to that back in a few moments. And of course, you can say you would like to restrict the number of results on the dashboard. It's always very wise to just have a small overview of elements, so just a small number of results, since you would like to get a good overview of your whole system. If you would expand your list to about 100 elements, that's not a good overview, since you will have, I don't know, about 10 widgets with 100 items, and there won't be a good overview anymore. So I would always suggest to choose something of 5 or 10, maximum 25. But from my perspective, 25 is even too much already. So I would always go with 5 or 10. And basically, that's it here. So I will cancel for now. And I'd like to add another one. So let's switch again to the 2-column layout. I'd like to have 2 CMDB views. So you can add widgets, as I already told you in the last session, multiple times. So when I add, for example, the CMDB all items, move it up here and save, you can configure this widget with a different filter preset. And this is what I would like to show you, where I just said I will show you in a few moments. So for example, we can make another one, which is called incident configuration items. And there we will filter for configuration items that are in the incident state. So we will get a good overview about all configuration items we need to take care of. So when I save this one, you will see now it is only one item left that's displayed. So because this is this one. And now I would like to change the left widget, so the filter criteria of the left CMDB items, to only show me configuration items that are in an operational or warning state, which now means on the left side we have all configuration items that are operational, and on the right side we have the incident configuration item. So we get a very good overview about the CMDB items that are working and the CMDB items we need to take care of. So for example, we can change this here to CM, or let's say operational configuration items. So we have on the left side the operational configuration items, on the left side the incident configuration items. Besides the filter, sort, column, and number of results criteria, we have the also search in previous version criteria, which means should OTRS take a look, so configuration items are always in different versions or can be in different versions as soon as you do a change on it. We will learn that in the next webinar sessions. So you can decide if you would like to search in the previous versions of the configuration item as well or not. Okay, so this was the configuration items on the dashboard. Next thing will be the queue metric. So here we get a good overview about the different queues. I already told you there's not much to configure here since we just can rename the widget, but that's basically it. And the other widgets, of course, we can always, as soon as we have the business object list, we can change the columns, the sortation of the columns, so the order, the sortation of the list. We can add filter criteria and number of results, but I showed that already in the last webinar session, so I don't want to waste too much time about this again. So if you have any, if you are interested in a very detailed configuration, please check our last webinar sessions where I talked about the organizer and explained how to configure different columns here and what you can do there with filter criteria. Okay, so for now, as I said, we have the appointments, we have the people sections, and the knowledge base articles. So that's it for here. Let's take a look. So I switch back to the 1-column layout, and you can, for example, add further widgets as well. So we can add, for example, the running processes widget, which will show us all process tickets that are currently in the system. And of course, we can always add, for example, the recently updated knowledge base articles as we did with the CMDB items, and apply different filter criteria to have different results. Okay, but for now, I'd like to save and continue with the next section. So this was the dashboard for now. Of course, now we had added the running process tickets, and now I'd like to start with the statistics and reports. So we just check the personal dashboard, and the next section or topic will be statistics and reports. Please be aware, I won't show in this webinar session to deeply configure statistics and reports. So there's another training for that. So if you are interested in it, please feel free to participate or to check that one. But I would like to give you a good overview, what is possible and what you can do and how the logic behind statistics and reports in OTRS is. So at the beginning, you always have a statistic. This is always the base of every report, of every, let's say every statistic over here. And we can, for example, add a statistic. And at the beginning, you need to decide which kind of statistic you would like to add. So for example, a matrix, which is just different ways of, so why you need to decide, because it's a different ways of displaying data. So would you like to have it as a matrix, as a list, or static? As I said, I won't go into much detail here now. You can always decide which object you would like to consider. So it is more like, do you want to see stats of ticket counted time, or ticket accumulation, or of configuration items? So you need to decide for the object, and you can you can check different formats and summation rows. And so there's quite a lot of options here. There are quite a lot of options here. Let's check some statistics we created already. So for example, there's a statistic which is called new tickets. And as you can see, it has been selected with different criteria. So we have an ticket accumulation here, which is a summary or a summation of different ticket numbers. We have the different output formats. You can see we have a summation row, and then you always need to decide what should be on the x-axis and what should be on the y-axis. Again, you can filter for some settings, so you can restrict or make for example, a time span or any filter criteria you like. And on the right side, you will get a preview. So we can have a bar chart, which you can see right now. Since we don't restrict, as I just said, we do not have a specific time frame. So now, as you can see, the statistic is very big. You can see it in the line chart as well, and in the stacked area chart. But when you see it in the print, which will be the most preferable in this situation, you will get the different summations and different informations here. What is very important is, please be aware that this is just a preview. Many customers in the past thought that they chose wrong criteria on the X and Y axis because the data was not correct in the preview. But as I said, this is not real data here. So this is just an example and a preview. Please don't take this one for, or consider it as needed to be right or correct. So as I said, just a preview. And this was a ticket accumulation. So we have, different kinds of statistics over here. For example, the ITSM would be another one you can consider. You can have or see the bar chart. We can have it as a line chart. So now you can see it in a more useful way, and the stacked areas. So yeah, just different types of preview and different types of presenting the statistic to your audience, or basically to your controlling manager or anyone else who is taking a closer look on these statistics. Okay. So these were the statistics. Of course, there are different ones, as I already showed you the metrics. We can make ticket lists as well. So this would basically just be a table without dynamic or colorful designed diagrams. And what you can do, or what you even or further can do, is after adding your statistic, you can export it, you can import it. So export and import function we have here. We can run the statistic out of the dashboard. So as you can see, we can start and run the statistic. So as soon as you run the statistic, you need to decide which format it should be. So in this case, it would be a CSV. We can do a print or graph as well. So this would be the real export of a statistic. So or not, let's not call it export, because with export it is really meant to export the statistic configuration of OTRS and to have it imported later. Let's call it a run statistic to print out the data or to see it. All right, so as you can see, as soon as I run it, now I will receive the real data. In this case, it is a CSV format, so it's not very readable, as you can see, but I think you can already imagine how this would work. Again, you can delete the statistic, or you can, of course, search for different filter criteria. So we can expand the filter section over here, search for only, for example, ITSM statistics, if we are maybe only interested in them. So now only these ITSM statistics will be shown. So different options here again. That's it for the statistics section. The last thing I would like to show in this area are the reports. So what is a report? A report is basically, it consists of different statistics. So it is, that's why I said you always need to start with a statistic, since a report is always building on this base. So you don't have or should not expect that you can build a report without having any statistic in your system. Because a report, as you can see here, needs to have a name, a description, and you can say, okay, should it be a basic schedule, daily, Monday to Friday, monthly, quarterly, yearly. You can define in a very deep way how or when it should be sent. You can make a custom schedule as well. And you can define different things like who should receive the email with the included report or the attached report, who should, what should be in the subject of the email, what should be in the body, and then you can even increase your report with headlines, titles for each statistic, a preamble, an epilogue. So different options here. And of course, what's the most important thing, since it's the main content of a report, is the statistic you'd like to add. Of course, you can not only add one statistics, but many. So you always can add several statistics to a report. That's no problem at all. And of course, you can always then configure which output data you'd like to have. So yeah, basically what should be included into the statistic, if you would like to have certain filter criteria or any other information, and what should be, most importantly, what should be the output format. So in this case, it's print, and which time zone, and different settings can be applied here. So this was the main thing I'd like to show about the create or the statistics and reports here. So let's continue with the last section, which is the calendar overview. The OTRS calendar module can be used for different things. So what's very important here is it is an own calendar module. You know it already from, for example, Outlook or Apple Mail. You know the iCals or the, as I said, the Outlook calendar. And you might say, why should I use the OTRS calendar? There is still some, or there are valid arguments, since the OTRS calendar includes some functions for OTRS which might be very interesting for you. So that's why I would like to show the calendar into more detail. Let's take a closer look. The calendar overview exists or consists of different, let's say, displays of your appointments or of your calendars and its appointments. So in my case, I have the appointments today, appointments this week, and appointments this month. So just 3 areas or 3 widgets in this case, where we have, in another view, can see different appointments. Of course, I can switch to a 2-column layout where I have on the left side, for example, the appointments today, and on the right side, the appointments this week. We can, through this icon, we can show or hide the calendar list sidebar, so we can even make it a bit brighter. And we have the 3-column layout, so today's appointments, this week's appointments, and this month's appointments. But of course, before I go into much more detail, let's just create an appointment. So you can decide, would you like to edit today, this week, or this month? And of course, you can always switch between these days. So you can go on the next day, which would be the 20th, the 21st, and you can go on the previous date, so left, right. You can just switch between the days. Same goes with months, so with weeks. So previous week, next week, and the same for month. So previous month, next month. And you can now decide when you would like to schedule your appointment. So let's, for example, do it here in the appointments this week view. And I'd like to add a technician's appointment. So the technician should take a closer look on the issue, and I'd like to add this to my technician's appointments calendar. The title of my appointment is, for example, on-site network fix. Description: the network of this customer should be fixed on site. Then we can add a location. So let me just add a random address here. And we can use this location to make a calculation or navigation with Google Maps. So we can plan our route to the customer or to the, just basically the address where we would like to navigate. And you can enter every address here and plan your route for your, as a technician or as a project coordinator, how to be able to find your customer or to drive there. Then you can add resources. I will show that later, so please keep that in mind for a second. And we can decide when should the appointment be held. So we have the start date and the end date. So it can of course be all day. And we can say, for example, the appointment is on Monday, 9 a.m. And we'll go on Monday until, let's say, 6 o'clock. So quite a long time for this appointment. And of course, we could, if you don't want to enter a time frame, you can select all day, and then the hours will be deleted here. Repeat is a function if you have an appointment that will needs to be repeated. So for example, you have a maintenance every week and you would like to schedule this in your appointment, you can do it via this repeat action over here. So you can decide between every day, every week, every month, or every year, or you can even make a custom repetition. So you can define the frequency for yourself, which means you can decide should it be daily, weekly, monthly, and then say every 1 day or every 2nd day, every 3rd day. You can make a limit, only do it until the, for example, I don't know, end of June, or only do it for 5 times. So you can make in a very good way, you can basically automize this appointments here and have different possibilities to, yeah, basically have an recoming or recurring appointment. As well, you can add, for example, the notification. So when you would like to be notified that there's an upcoming appointment, you can say, for example, 0 minutes before, so you will be reminded or notified when the appointment should take place, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, days before, a week before, and you can customize this as well, which means as soon as I click on customize, or custom in this case, I can decide what should be the relative point of time and the absolute date, and I can decide for myself when I would like to be notified and at which event. So I can decide before the appointment starts, after the appointment has been started, before the appointment ends, and after the appointment has been ended. So until now, this is basic function of a calendar. But now let's take a closer look. So I will switch that, for example, to 1 hour before I'd like to be notified. And now we will get the further functions or opportunities of OTRS. So when we are using the OTRS calendar, we can link tickets to the appointment. So as you can see now, I can search for my tickets. So for example, a network problems ticket, and add it to my appointment. So now the ticket has been added. You can see that here. So I can add this one, and now I have it added every day for about, yeah, as I just said, every day from, so in a frequency of daily, and only 5 times. So for the next week, 5 times I've added this appointment. You can see the next week there's no appointment anymore, and it will be displayed like this. What's very nice is you can drag and drop the appointment again. So for example, if you decide you would like to postpone it to 10, you can do that, and every other appointment will be moved too. If you want to do it earlier, you can do that as well. So this is the first very nice function here. The second one, I already showed you that you can link your ticket, and as soon as I click on the appointment, you can see that in this case, this is the ticket that has been linked to this appointment, and you can see, of course, in the body or in the bottom of the ticket detail view that there's a linked appointment as well. So you can switch between the ticket and the appointment, which can be very helpful to have a good overview in your calendar of your ticket or your technician appointments, and then you can go into more detail or further detail by selecting the ticket and take a closer look what's going on there. So what's basically the issue of the ticket. Let's switch back to the calendar. So I will close this one. And yeah, as you just saw, we can switch between these weeks and this can be in different views. So if I will go to next week now, you will see I have the on-site network fix on Monday. And besides drag and dropping the appointment where you would like to have it, you can even expand it or reduce it. So we can make it a bit longer, more 1 hour longer, or even 1 hour less. So this can be moved in a very, very dynamic way and in a very easy way to adjust the appointment. Let's now take a closer look on the different views of OTRS. So we have the grid week, what you can see now, but there's the timeline week as well, which can be very helpful if you have several calendars on the left side, because right now we only have the technical appointment, but yeah, just imagine we have, besides the technicians, we have the sales department, development department, or what else, and we have different calendars, so we can see even if there are appointments that are at the same time, we can see that in a very quick way. So, and the new function here in OTRS 8 is the agenda. So we will always see every upcoming appointment, but only them, which means if I show you the agenda month, for example, we will only see the appointments that have already scheduled. So we had an appointment on the 1st of February, on the 3rd, and on the 22nd, but in between there is no appointment. That's why it's not shown here. So the agenda only shows you appointments that are or have been entered to the calendar and can be seen here. So these are the different options over here to display the calendar or the appointments of the calendar in different ways. What else can we do? We can, for example, configure this view. When I choose the grid month, I think this is a very common view. So for example, we can do in the timeline week, and here we do the agenda for today. This is might be a proper use case. We have the agenda for each day to have in a very quick, we can have a very quick look if today, for example, we have an appointment, so no appointments to display. In the morning, we enter our calendar and we'll see, okay, there's no upcoming appointment today. The second one is the week, where we have the timeline with different calendars, so to have a good overview, and the grid month will give us another view. But of course, you can configure it as you like. And you can configure these calendars as well, which means you can say what should be the grid view, what should be the timeline view. You can make a custom configuration here as well. You can, yeah, so down below here is the timeline view custom settings. So there are other possibilities as well, but before we do that, you can even decide if you would like to show the weekends or not. So you can configure the calendar in a very detailed way, which gives you the opportunity, for example, if you don't work on weekends, you can just decide to not show the weekends, and then you have more place for your appointments, since these 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, are always wasted or wasting place in your screen. So that's why you can hide them. The timeline view custom settings give us the possibility or opportunity to decide or to design an own calendar. So we can say, for example, it should be shown 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks. We can even say start time should be at, for example, 7 a.m. because earlier I would not work, and it should go until maximum 7 p.m. because earlier and later I won't even have any appointments, so it's not necessary for me to yeah, show me. Of course I need to enter this one to show me the appointments before and after, so the time frames before and after, since there are no appointments there. The slot duration is how many, my slots in which duration they should be shown, and the slot width is how bright it should be. All right, so this is how it could work here. The next thing I'd like to show you is so you can switch here now to the timeline 2 weeks, as you can see, and you can now see it will start at 7, it will go until 19, and you will get a good overview about the next 2 weeks. So here's my on-site network fix. And that's it for the configuration of the calendar. So you can even, as you saw, define your own calendar. You can switch between the width. So if you would like to have more details in the appointments, you can even switch it to 200 pixels. And this will expand the width of this timeline view. So with 200 pixels, you can see here we have a bigger size of, or the width is bigger of your time hours, so of your frequent. So if I switch to the next week or to the last one, you will see more details. So if you have more appointments, you will see it in a closer detail. And of course, you can switch it to 100 pixels as well, so you will get less information. So there are quite some configuration options here. You can design your own calendar, which is quite a nice functionality of OTRS. And besides that functionality of customizing your own calendar in OTRS, there is very often, or a very common question by customers, if it is possible to implement the calendar of OTRS in, for example, Outlook or Apple calendar, so iCal. And yes, this is possible. You can sync it. It's a read-only sync. You just basically subscribe to the ticket. It will be handed out through OTRS. So you will generate an OST file, for example, or an iCal file for Apple, and you can put or implement it into your calendar module of Outlook or Apple. So it's basically the calendar is imported and synced. This is very important. You don't need to re-import it over and over again. It will be synced, but please be aware this is only a read-only access, since of course you can't manage the calendars in your Outlook or in your iCal, since there are different functionalities in OTRS. I showed you already the possibility to link tickets to a calendar. So of course, vice versa, this is possible, which means when I go into a ticket, let me pick randomly this one. I can always click on the ticket actions and add a new appointment from the ticket detail view. So when I now select the technician appointment, I can say, okay, on site printer fix, printer customer should be fixed on site. Again, a random location. And let me now show you the next feature. I skipped that before. This is the calendar resource planning. The calendar resource planning is a feature add-on of OTRS. So here you can decide for which team you would like to create this appointment. So you can use different resources, which can be people like technicians, or it can be your car park, or just different resources. It is not restricted to human beings. And you can just manage your resources with this calendar, which is very handy and useful. So in my case, I will select the technicians team, and I will choose, for example, Tim, technical expert, for this appointment. So he is responsible for the appointment next Monday. This is only for one day. and it will last until, let's say, 13, so 1 p.m. So you see, the ticket has automatically linked to the ticket. We will send him a reminder notification 1 hour before the appointment. We won't repeat it. And yeah, as I said, the ticket has been linked automatically. And additionally, so now when we switch to the next week, we can see the appointment has been added here. We see it, of course, in the agenda as well as in the grid view. So it will overlay it a bit, but that's by intention. And let's check the timeline view for this week. So we have this week and the week after. So different options here as well. The new thing I would like to show you now is the resource calendar. So we have learned about the today, this week, and this month calendar, but there's a fourth one, which is called the resource calendar. I will add that widget to my one column layout and save. So let me scroll down here now. And as you can see here, we have now a new column, which is called resources. Right now, there's no resource assigned. So we can click on the configuration widget, and now we can select which resources we would like to add to this calendar. So let me add the technicians here. You can even decide which resource of the technicians you would like to see. So for example, as soon as I save, you will now see for this week and next week who is responsible for the appointment. So in this case, Tim it is, but as I showed you before, the on-site network fix is not yet assigned. So it is an unassigned appointment, and you can easily assign it by moving it to the technician. So for example, if Marco should take care of it, or Bob, we can just move it over, and now he will be added as the resource. So if Bob, for example, should take care of this appointment or of this on-site network fix, you can just move it over here, drag and drop, and now it is assigned to Bob. So you can very easily plan your different resources through this resource calendar management, which is a very useful function. And this is another functionality of OTRS, which of course is not included into an Outlook or Apple calendar. So that's why the calendar management always needs to take place in OTRS. You cannot manage the calendars in third-party apps. Since we have a lot of functionalities here with the resource planning, the calendar resource planning, and with the timeline view custom settings, and with the link of tickets. So we saw we can link very easily tickets to an appointment. We can add very easily, for example. So we have, just basically different possibilities of linking objects over here. That's it for the calendar overview. You can, of course, always hide or show the calendar on the left side. So if you would if you have several calendars, I told you already, you can switch between the calendars or just display the ones you are interested in right now. But in my case, that's not necessary since I only have this one example. Of course, you can always add new calendars as a sales calendar or an development calendar, and after you did, you can always hide the sidebar to only show or to have a bigger space for your appointments, what you are of course interested in. Okay, that's it for the calendar overview, and that's it for this session. So for this webinar today. Thank you.
Luca, thank you very much. It was a very nice detailed overview of OTRS 8 and the dashboards. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us at sales@otrs.com. And please join us for our next webinar where we'll talk about the management areas of OTRS 8. And Luca will go in more detail about the knowledge management, service management, customer management, assets management, and how the search works. Thank you.